So Manchester United head over to Australia, to Melbourne, to play Melbourne Victory in their second pre-season game, and we're going to have a look at it. Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. I am Alex, and today I am joined by Ronaldo Brown. How you doing, mate? No shaking hands today. We're not doing that again. That was awkward last time. Joined by Ronaldo Brown.
Sometimes awkwardness breaks the ice.
It does. And I'm also joined by Jordan Simpson. How you doing, mate?
All right, mate.
It's been a while.
I know.
It's been a while since you've been here on the Stretford Paddock. What have you been up to?
Not much. It's because, to be honest, me and Mac had a disagreement about Nando's sides.
Why?
He don't like the fact I like mash, so I've been off for 3 months. Do you know what I mean?
I
don't get it.
It's cutting edge in here.
What spice are you?
No, medium.
Medium.
That's not bad.
It's the standard. He's not asked about the spice, it was the mash.
Now, I'd love to talk Nando's sides all the time, but we've got to get through these topics. I'm going to kick off talking about the youngsters that played for Manchester United against Liverpool and whether we'll see more of them this week. Zidane Iqbal was the standout in that game. Jordan, he had a top performance against Liverpool in that second half, didn't he?
He was very good, and the highlights obviously sending Fabinho back to Brazil with that turn in the middle of the park, which is, it's mad because he doesn't play there naturally. Mm-hmm. He's usually further forward, almost like a 10, which I think if he carries on the way that he played in, I know it was only a 1/2, but if he carries on how he did, he could really put himself in Ten Hag's thoughts for this season coming up, because Bruno doesn't really have that backup now since we've lost Pogba and Mata and etc. He carries on how he is, he could be the backup. I could see him being there because he looked so comfy on the ball, even as a 6. Yeah. Like, it was mad how he slotted in straight away. And when you think Liverpool's final half an hour was all the big boys, like they brought on everybody, Salah, Van Dijk, Fabinho, Robertson, they brought them all on. He looked no different to when he was in the first 15 minutes. Calm on the ball, progressive, linking midfield with the defence and attack easy. He looked very good in 45 minutes.
He absolutely did. Ronaldo, not just Zidane Iqbal, but we had Charlie Savage playing that first game. We've not seen a couple of them as well. We've got Ethan Laird on that trip, who's come back off loan. You've also got Hannibal Mejbri. Are you expecting a few more youngsters in this game? And what can this Melbourne game be a platform for them to kick on for, or are you going to see a bit of the same again?
First game against Liverpool, we expected Ten Hag to go out with a pretty strong side and start just to see what his 11 looks like. And he can kind of work out what kinks he needs to change and what works and what doesn't. But I think this game against Melbourne Victory might be more inclined to play the youngsters a little bit more. And as you said, pre-season could be a big opportunity for youngsters. We saw Langer take it last season when he was probably the standout performer last season in pre-season, and it got him into the United squad and not on loan. And then he actually had, how many games did he play? Quite a lot. He was a starter for quite a lot. He got fast-tracked into the first team. It's an opportunity if you show something. That's why, exactly like Zidane said, coming on and being brave, getting on the ball, showing for the ball more than McTominay did, being very expressive. That's what you want to see from youngsters, and I'd like to see the likes of Ethan Laird get an opportunity, because our fullback issues are well known and it's not kind of settled on either side. So I'd like to see the likes of Ethan Laird, who had a good loan at Bournemouth, and he showed a lot of promise. But now we have to see. We don't know until youngsters actually play. I know it's a pre-season game, but as you said, Zidane doing it against the big hitters for Liverpool shows that he might have a little bit. And obviously, I would like to shout out Charlie Savage. I think he was pretty good as well. But I am excited to see what the likes of even Ahmad and Pellistri can do, because obviously Pellistri scored, Ahmad assist. Ten Hag's well renowned for playing youngsters and progressing them. So it's going to be exciting to see how they end up doing.
Yeah, speaking about Ten Hag, obviously it was a good win in that 4-0. Can't take too much from pre-season, considering Liverpool had so many different 11s out. I think there are 3 different 11s out in the time. United were more, just the 2. But what did you make of Ten Hag's first game? What did you make of his setup and all that? Very similar to Ollie in terms of the 4-2-3-1, but a few changes in there, wasn't there?
I think the changes was how we moved.
Yep.
I've never seen United pressing as much. Mm-hmm. The fact that we were playing so further forward, and I know in that first sort of like 20-25 minutes, Liverpool should have scored once, twice, hit the post twice. Luis Diaz was very good against Dalot, there's no doubt about it. But again, like you just said, our full-back options aren't great at this point in time, even with Malacia coming in. And I thought he was solid when he come on. Solid, but half a game you can't really tell from that, really. But the pressing that we did, the movement, the fact that people were showing more for each other off the ball. Like, for example, Anthony Martial, I'd never seen him run as much I can't remember a game where he ran that much in a 45. Maybe it was because he knew that he was only getting 45 and he thought, I'm going to go and impress against Liverpool in front of a new guy to try and cement a place in the starting 11. But he ran so much.
He did.
And Martial does not run. We all know that.
Yeah,
That's why he went out on loan, because he didn't run. He didn't fit Ollie's style. He didn't fit Ragnick's style, whatever that was. But he ran for 45 minutes. He ran his socks off and he scored a very delightful chip, didn't he?
Did score a delightful chip. Now, talking about the running and talking about that first few minutes, Varane spoke after the game about Ten Hag wants us higher up the pitch and how demanding it is. Do you think we're going to see a lot more of that chaos that first half brought, where we're very high, they're going to see a lot over the top? Do you think we're going to have to get used to that a little bit, even in these pre-season games and into next season, that we might look a bit exposed now and again with this new system?
I was literally going to say that. It is going to be chaotic because you're learning a new system and you're going to be playing with a certain different front-footedness that we haven't seen in a while. And I think that's half the reason why Liverpool got so many opportunities early. United were very aggressive in their press very high, were very brave. And occasionally good players are going to get by you and kind of beat that press. And Liverpool did that a couple of occasions and we did look relatively exposed. But obviously there's a plus side on it. You can win the ball back high like Martial did and you go and score goals and you create chances and you cause havoc and you put them under pressure. That's one of the main ways that you play Liverpool anyway.
Yeah.
I think when you play Liverpool, you can't afford to sit back and just kind of weather a storm. It sounds naive, but I feel like you've got to almost play them at their own game and be aggressive and play balls through because they will give you opportunities if you attack them. And that's why we was able to score as well. I get in the general grand scheme of things during the season, I expect Nani to kind of implement a style where that becomes a mainstay and not just one game. Because I don't want to overact with one game. It's a small sample size. And obviously there's going to be teething problems. There's going to be teething pains as well where we will probably get caught out here and there and concede goals. But if it means that we have a little bit more of an exciting way of playing and we actually look like a team that you'd want to watch and you want to like, then I'm all for it. And obviously Ten Hag did say there was a lot of mistakes and there was a lot of stuff he weren't happy with. So it's going to be a work in progress. But I'm excited. I think it's a good way of him seeing what he feels like needs to be added in terms of the transfer window and the players that he likes and kind of fit his system.
I completely agree. And we played Liverpool and that comparison to Klopp. Remember Klopp's first season, there was a lot of that as well. It was chaos. They were scoring a lot of goals. It was exciting football. But they didn't have that solidity at the back, and then they kind of added that over time. They had that first season where they got to the Europa League final, and it was all chaos. Sturridge was still scoring a lot of goals, and then that kept going, but slowly he started adding more players, and that might be the case with Ten Hag. So we might have to kind of grin and bear this chaotic feel. Getting on to our starting 11, we'll start with you, Jordan. Who would you like to see, and who do you think? I mean, it's chaos in pre-season in terms of who you can pick, what he's going to do. But what's your, I'm going to say proper guess, a guess at the starting 11 for this game against Melbourne Victory?
Well, you can see there, we saw Dave go off.
Yeah.
Might be a knock, so I'm just going to assume he's going to leave him out and put Tommy Eaton in. Ethan Laird, I want to see, because we saw Wan-Bissaka, we saw Dalot, problems with both of them. Dalot defensively, Wan-Bissaka with in almost all areas, which is bad because he posted all them clips about him doing 1v1 training with all these guys, but it still looks like in that half he still had the same problems from last season. So I want to see Laird. I want to see a mix between youth and experience, especially in this next game, because Melbourne obviously is a huge step down. No disrespect to Liverpool, to them, but from Liverpool it is. I think he'll stick with Varane and Lindelof in the first half and then change it in the second half. Malacia, because he come on in the second half and he looked all right. Plus Shaw's going to be. He looks like he's injured again. So it'd be just naturally put him on and see how he goes from the start. And I want to see Jimmy Garner get in some time because you've not seen him yet in pre-season. I know it's only one game. We had 4 different sixes over the 90 minutes against Liverpool. Zidane impressed enough in that 45 to start for me. And I want to see Jimmy Garner because he was fantastic for Notts Forest. Obviously, they went up.
He was carrying a knock, I think.
Yeah, I think he had a knock, so I think he was injured. But you're right, I'd like to see Jimmy Garner. And then that front four you've gone for, similar to what we started with last game, it was good, wasn't it?
The exact same. Yeah. And I think he'll be consistent with that because they played so well together. Their intertwining was really good. And I think the only player he might have been disappointed with was probably Marcus Rashford in the sense that he had 2 or 3 very clear-cut chances and he scuffed the ball, he didn't hit it right. And we've seen all the training pics. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're not ready for this type of Rashford under Ten Hag." And he got in the spaces. He had the chances, but he was unlucky with him. So I think he'll stick him in again for the first 45. tell him to do exactly what he was doing against Liverpool, and hopefully he can bag 1 or 2 and get that confidence right up for the rest of pre-season.
Yeah, because
we'll see a different player.
You're seeing what Martial. I mean, even the narrative around Martial after that first goal and just getting that goal, it's massive. And if Rashford had scored that one where that pullback come from Sancho, the narrative had been Marcus Rashford's back as well. We've not quite got that yet. Ronaldo, what is your starting 11 for this game?
My starting 11 is slightly hidden by the camera, but I will kind of work around it with my X-ray vision. And I've gone for Tom Heaton and goal. I saw Dave come off. Dave did play a little bit differently though, didn't he?
He came off his line.
He was aggressive.
I think that's why he pulled his calf.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because he swept for the first time. But I think we'll see Tom Heaton in goal at the backup. I think he'll start Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof. I think Maguire's back in training, so he might get a run out initially. And Varane did come off with a bit. I know you're laughing about the Maguire selection.
I've no comment
There's a backstory
whatsoever.
Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, I've gone for Malacia to start left back. I thought Luke Shaw started the game a little bit iffy. He did get skipped past a little bit by that 17-year-old right back for Liverpool. I think Malacia will start there. I think Zidane might get a start based on the fact that he performed so well when he come on. I think we might see Donny van der Beek alongside him as well, just because there's been talk of Ten Hag trying out Van der Beek a little bit deeper. And I've gone for a front four of Fernandes. I think Alanga might start the game, and Martial and Sancho. I've just gone for a few changes. It's difficult to predict when it's pre-season who will play and who won't, especially with the fact that there'll probably be a complete different team in the second half. But I think Rashford loses out, and I think the rest of the front four stays the same. Yeah,
it's one of them. You've seen what United did, where we went and played essentially our strongest or near enough strongest team for our first, and then we had Liverpool, who completely rotated and then brought on their strongest team towards the last half an hour. If you have a look at my team, I've essentially gone for, I think this is probably one of our strongest teams. I think this is as good as we can get. I've got Tom Heaton again for the same reason you guys. De Gea played the most of anyone, played 60 minutes, came off with what looks like a strain. Maybe the plan was for him to play 90 and then Heaton to play 90, but I do think Tom Heaton or maybe one of the other lads gets a start in this game. I've gone Dalot at right back. I think that Dalot and Shaw, it seems like Dalot, Shaw and Malacia and Wan-Bissaka, they're kind of the pairs they're using at the minute, and I think I'm going to kind of stick with that with Dalot and Shaw. I put Maguire in just because I think that he had this injury or wasn't quite fit for the last game. I think he'll get a run out if he does get fit. Again, we were recording this before Ten Hag's on any press conference, so he might have written off Maguire before we get to this. And I've also gone for Varane again. And then in midfield, we've got Fred in there. I think what I see, maybe he's going to try Donny van der Beek in there. There's those clips in training of him being in the two. I'm hoping that that's the case and just trying that. And then that front four that Jordan picked as well. I think at this moment in time, that's our strongest front four. I think the argument may be over Elanga, but Elanga didn't really impress me too much. Again,
no, he didn't.
He was up against harder opposition than Marcus Rashford was, but he didn't really impress me. Maybe I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that front four get a bit of rhythm. Depending on whether Ronaldo stays or not, I think that's the front four that's going to start the season.
Definitely an area that's going to need a little bit of improvement in terms of maybe even a starter, but depth at the very least.
Yeah, I think it's depth more than it is, because again, I think we've had that front four. We've had a similar front four in the past where you've gone, we like that. We've got Fernandes, Rashford, we had Greenwood and Martial, and we like that was a good front four. The problem was Martial getting injured, and you weren't too sure.
It's like,
and then all of a sudden you're going, okay, well Martial goes to the left, and then you're playing Ronaldo, who's very different, and it doesn't quite work, and then you're moving Bruno around. It just doesn't.
Well, Ten Hag's come out though, and he's basically said that they are looking to improve midfield and forward area.
Yeah. Before
the end of the transfer window, whether they actually do, it's a different story.
Absolutely, I think that'll be.
You're not going to pay. I don't think you should pay 70 mil for Anthony.
No, I don't think so.
I'd swerve him. I'd stay away.
I don't think
you've already got a player who he is in Jadon Sancho.
I don't think it'll be anything like that United do in the forward area. I think it'll probably be a relatively cheaper buy. Someone might be relatively unknown. I was thinking we might go for Skamaka, but I think we'll be priced out of that as well. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think we can go into the season losing Ronaldo and not replacing him and just having a front four with no one else to back up.
You saw just in that last game where you had Ahmad playing through the middle. It just didn't. Yeah. It's not the same as having an out-and-out number.
He was just chasing,
or a different number 9. Get your starting 11s into the comments. Let us know who you think will start against Melbourne Victory. Speaking of Melbourne Victory, let's have a look at them. They finished second in the A-League last year. They won the Australian Cup. And they've also signed that man over the shoulder here. They've just signed Manchester United legend? Cult hero, legend. At least cult hero.
Legend.
At least cult hero, Nani. Jordan, what are you expecting to see from Nani? He might get his first start. Excited to see that? It's always good to see ex-players playing against United.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to see him when he played for Venezia last season when I went to Italy, and he only got like a 5-minute cameo. They got battered by Sassuolo, to be fair. And that Scamacca was playing. And from what I've seen, he were bang average. Right. So I'd veer away from him as well. Like all these clubs are after him, all these big boys, West Ham. I think, who's the other team who wanted him? I can't even remember who it was.
PSG.
I think it was PSG. Yeah, PSG. I'd swerve him. Yeah. He got a touch like Romelu Lukaku. So I'd swerve him. But it would be nice to see Nani, I think, because he's not... Has he played against United since he left? I don't think he has done.
I don't think he has.
So even if he got minutes, I think he'd be very lucky to, considering he only signed, I think it was 2 days ago or a day ago. We'd all love to see him, because it'd just be like, you'd be thinking about the time he beat 3 players against Arsenal, when he cut in and he chipped Chesney or Almunia or whoever it was, when he scored that rocket against Chelsea, when he cut in and
on the left peg.
Yeah. You know, so it would be nice to see him.
Crossing it to
crossing it to Rooney
for the over.
If Nani was around peak Twitter like it is now, I reckon Nani FC would be worse than Martial
He'd have a
FC.
Nani FC, 100%.
He would.
Oh my God,
Nani FC
100%.
would be 10 times worse than Martial FC or Van der Beek FC has ever been.
I think Nani would be the most divisive kind of fan base
'Cause he was at the time.
on Twitter, 100%. Because he was that kind of enigmatic player where he's 1 minute he's an absolute world beater.
Yep.
Next minute he's having you tearing your hair out. Mm-hmm. He was just that kind of player. But I remember mostly the magical moments. I was a big Nani fan, to be fair, even though he was quite frustrating, just because he was capable of the of brilliance. And the fact is, it's crazy because back then you see him that way, but even now, like even in a wild areas, I don't think you'd say any of peak Nani is any worse than some of the front four that we've got. But it's like,
I think the problem that Nani had was that he was a Portuguese lad signed from Sporting Lisbon about 2 years, a year after, or not long after we'd signed Cristiano Ronaldo, and we were all going, just give me the same thing again. Signing a lad from Sporting Lisbon, young player, winger.
I was about
he's
to
going to
say
wear
that.
17, not 7. All right, he's just going to do the same thing. And people were constantly comparing him, and no one was ever going to beat what we got in Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think if you'd have signed him from a different club or was a different nationality coming in, you'd have had different expectations, and you've just gone, good player.
well, what we expect to see from him is probably him do something really, really good and then something really, really bad.
So that'll probably be the case in this game. Right, let's move on to score predictions. I don't think anyone had 4-0. I went 4-all, so I was closest. Yeah? No.
Was you?
No. I had 4-all. What did you go for? Well, I tell you what are you going to go for in this game?
In this game, score prediction-wise, I'm going to go for... The way he was looking offensively, I think Melbourne will be a lot more defensive, though. Mm-hmm. And he won't be as open and as high as Liverpool will be, which kind of played into our front three's hands.
Yeah.
People are arguing that our front three probably looked a little bit more dynamic because Ronaldo was up front, because in terms of the pressing and running in behind, even though it's a different story for another day. I'm going to go for I'm going to go for 3-1. Because I think we will concede, because I think they'll just have a little bit of a home crowd buzz. We're playing United. He might nick a goal.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Jordan, what's your score prediction?
I agree with you in a sense that I think we'll concede. Yeah. I think it will be the same. Well, not the same, because QPR last season was a joke in pre-season. They battered us. I think we'll concede 1, but I reckon we'll bag 5. I reckon we'll. If we start with that from 5, I reckon we'll be 5.
Slap that on now.
Do you know what's weird? I wanted to go 5-2. I don't know why. I had 5-2 jump. It's pre-season. We don't know. Again, I don't think no one predicted 4-0 Liverpool. So get your score predictions into the comments. Also, if you want to feature on the watch link, send in a little clip with your score predictions, lineup predictions, whatever. Send them to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. It's right below me right now. Send it to there, and if you are a member, send it into the Telegram group. We will get it in there, and it'll be at the start of the watch long. So make sure you're getting involved in that. Jordan, where can people find you, mate?
JD Simpson 98 on
JD
Twitter.
Simpson 98 on Twitter. Ronaldo Brown, where can people find you?
Ronaldo Brown _98.
Both 98s.
You're old, aren't you?
I am old.
You're an old man. Oh, yeah.
You make me feel very, very, very old. Thank you very much for joining us today. Make sure you're liking the video, making sure you subscribe. We've got the watch along. The lads are out. They've gone over to Melbourne. They're having a belting time. They'll be covering the game all the way through, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. This has been the preview for the Melbourne victory versus Man United second pre-season game. See you in the next one. Laters.